The other day I was snooping around on Facebook and a story popped up with this picture. The headline said, "Only proper Northerners will know this house." Now there's little doubt as to whether I am a proper Northerner. It's even in Canada's national anthem, "The True North, Strong and Free." But perhaps that's not the kind of proper Northerner the article had in mind. At any rate, I guess I've earned myself somewhat of a place here in the north of England as a proper Northerner. I recognized the house immediately. This is Stott Hall Farm, owned by Yorkshire Water. It dates back to 1737 when it was built as a shooting lodge. It's surrounded by the M62. The 107-mile motorway links Liverpool and Manchester to Leeds and Hull. It was opened in stages between 1971 and 1976. Stott Hall Farm became the stuff of legend when construction on this motorway across the north of England began. It's probably the best known farm in Britain. The farm on the motorway, or the little house on the prairie as some call it. As you approach the farm, the M62 splits and then it comes back together to create this little island in the middle of the motorway. The story goes, when they were building the M62, Ken Wilde, who owned Stott Hall Farm, refused to be moved off his land, so they had to build the motorway around him. Or at least that's how the story goes. I first heard of it when we moved here about 5 years ago. As we drove past, my wife told me the story of the M62 and the obstinate farmer. Now, my wife is no more a proper Northerner in the sense earlier mentioned than I am. She heard it from her colleagues as they drove past Stott Hall Farm. Who doesn't love the story of the little guy sticking it to the man? So the story lives on. I thought no more of it until last year, when a story came up about the farm dispelling the myth of the bloody-minded Yorkshire farmer who refused to move. Wilde died in 2004, and now a new tenant runs the farm. But in 1983, Yorkshire Television did a documentary about Ken Wilde and his farm that revealed the real reason for this unusual bucolic anomaly. Wilde said it looked like we would have to move, but they found out that they couldn't get all 6 lanes together. A geological fault beneath the farmhouse meant it was more practical for engineers to leave it rather than blast through and destroy it. Well, that's rather disappointing, isn't it? A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting its shoes on. A quote usually attributed to Mark Twain. And the irony of that is, he probably didn't say it. We like people to know that we know things. Often it doesn't matter if it's true. Sometimes we just have to pass on that story. It's some kind of pact we make to pass on the best version of the story. It's in our DNA. Monkey see, monkey do. Or in this case, monkey hear, monkey say. Back in 1958, the country experienced a strange phenomena. Blue tits were pecking open milk bottles to get at the cream. It happened all of a sudden, almost simultaneously across the whole of the nation. The birds learned the behavior from each other. It's called cultural transmission. It was the first viral tweet. The comments about Stott Hall Farm on Facebook were hilarious, but aren't they always? I posted this video about Emily Williamson and the founding of the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds a while ago, and some scholarly individual commented, "F*** birds." I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, what makes someone say that? Was he attacked by a bird as a child? Do seagulls steal his chips every time he goes to the seaside? Anyway, he couldn't stop himself telling the world how much he hates birds. There were over 3,000 comments on the post about Stott Hall Farm. Some retelling the myth without reading the pinned article telling the true story. Claims that they knew the farmer personally and he had a loudspeaker on the roof blasting music to disrupt the construction. Large signs on the house with words to the effect of, "Hell no, we won't go." That did happen, but it was a farmer further down the road. The Facebook post then quickly deteriorated into a debate about where the proper north is, with people producing some lovely maps depicting exactly where it begins. This got me wondering how these stories get started. In this case, it's not much of a mystery, because there was a farmer that refused to go, but, as I said, his attempt failed. A bit of time passes and the two stories get merged into one, and you get the story of Stott Hall Farm. Usually that's how it starts, a grain of truth. And with each telling, the story gets better. And no better place for an urban myth or an agricultural allegory to evolve than on a road trip. There was a time when we used to sing songs in the car and play silly games like I Spy and Find the Disappearing Church. That's how we passed the time on long journeys. Now everybody's looking at their phone, reading the latest conspiracy theory to pass on. Dad jokes and the story of the farmer who wouldn't be moved. Salute 3 times as you pass the farm for good luck on your journey. All part of the wonderful stories we tell each other. Is it true? It doesn't matter. It's as much a part of the true story of Stott Hall Farm as a geological fault. Now, as far as proper northerners go, we all know Santa is the only true proper northerner. And at least for the moment, the North Pole is in Canada. Why do you think he wears that red and white suit?